there was this blog that came out years ago. I can't even remember it now. And there was this girl on Instagram who was getting a lot of likes and a lot of comments and a lot of attention. And one day she just disappeared. Like she stopped posting. And everyone's just like, all the comments were like, where are you? What happened? Are you okay? Like, what happened to you? You know, everyone was frantic trying to figure out what happened to her because they loved her. They were following her and all the rest of it. And what they didn't know is that it was built by a team that was trying to show that what people didn't notice is that in every picture she posted, she was drinking. And it was it was almost like original AI that was made up to prove the point that you can love someone and you can think you're really close to them and you can think their lifestyle looks amazing, but actually they've got a drink in every picture they post and you didn't realize they had an alcohol problem. So there was no real person who died. But the point was that your friends could be struggling even when they're posting these beautiful lifestyle pictures. But are you aware?
Wow.
And are you conscious of how much it affects you? And I can't remember who built that page.
Well, I think that's one of the problems with alcohol is that if you came out with alcohol right now, if alcohol wasn't a thing and you like, I've invented this drink that is going to make you like either really happy or really aggressive or really stupid, and we're going to just sell it to the masses, people will be like, nah, mate, keep your funky juice. Like, we don't want that. That sounds terrible. And it's one of those things, because it is so socially acceptable, the addiction side of it, the bad sides of it really do fly under the radar.
Yeah.
And that's really interesting. I'll tell you something I do love about being a non-drinker. I love being the designated driver.
Yeah.
I love being that person that makes sure that everyone gets home. I don't know. I like being a dependable person. I think I'm quite dependable.
Yeah.
And I really like that thing. And I saw this crazy YouTube video once, this was years ago, of a guy that went to a bar, he got drunk and he drove home and he crashed his car. And I don't know if this is real, it could have been fake, but it's really impactful. Basically, what his friend had done was set up the room as if he had been in a coma for like 10 years. And his friend wakes up hours after the crash and his friend is there and he had all like old makeup on to make him look older. And now I'm thinking about it, there's no way this could have been real because how would they have been able to pull that off? But he basically is saying to him like, you've been asleep for 10 years. Everyone's missed you. Like, we can't believe you're awake. This is amazing. And it shows like how a stupid decision like driving drunk can affect the future of your life.
Yeah.
So I do love being the designated driver. That is something I enjoy. Seeing my friends have a good time and being like, don't worry, Tom will take you home.
Yeah. I used to love being the designated driver until I realized that an ex-girlfriend just had me do that because I was the one who didn't do it. So that wasn't a fun designated driver job. But I've always been that guy since... Because I lived as a monk for 3 years.
Yeah, amazing.
And when I came back after that, obviously I never went back to drinking alcohol and everything. And so, but I went back into the workplace and I remember everyone would always open up to me and give me advice. But it's what you're saying, when someone was drunk, they'd tell me their whole life story.
Yeah.
Next day they'd wake up and go, Jay, you'd actually remember what I said. I'm like, I remember everything. They're like, please don't tell anyone.
Yeah.
You know, and I loved that part where I was like, I was able to be there for people.
Totally.
Just hear their stories.
100%.
And someone that had context the next day, because if they told someone else who was drunk, you'd both not remember and then it'd be gone. No, I think the benefits that you've just pointed out of good sleep, good health, great mental clarity, they're huge. But there's a couple of things I want to point out for everyone who's listening, just as takeaways, because Tom makes it so seamless when you're talking about it. It's really beautiful as well. But one of the things you mentioned was finding alternatives. And during my monk life, we always talked about how there was something that we called the higher taste. And it was saying you can never give up a lower taste unless you had a higher taste.
Sure.
And so there has to be a switch. There has to be a replacement.
Has to be a replacement, 100%.
And so the fact that you found alternatives, I think that's half the battle.
Sure.
Because most of us are trying to take something out of our lives and then you're just trying to fill it.
Yeah.
And then you have to go back to what you had before because you're not finding a replacement. So that was beautiful. And the second thing you said, which I loved, which was having this conversation and dialogue with other people, someone who's 1 year ahead of you, someone who's 10 years ahead, someone who's 20 years ahead, who's gone through that process and they're open and honest and vulnerable about, well, you know what, I did have a weak moment, or you know what, this was really tough for me. And I think having those communities where you can talk about these things makes a massive difference. So if anyone's struggling, I hope that those two things can kind of, you know, give you the support you need.
And again, it goes back to the message of the show is that like you should ask for help and you should feel empowered to do so.